Hey friends, happy Sunday. If you're just tuning into my channel, I am actually in the middle of doing a series of videos on what to expect when you leave your full-time job, or better known as what people are not telling you about leaving your full-time job. So when you quit your job, there are things that happen, things that you'll experience that so many people are not talking about. Most people are just talking about the fluffy version of being an entrepreneur or being a creative or being a freelancer, and they make it sound really, really good. And there are some really good parts to it, which I talked about in last week's video, which I can link up above and in the description down below. But there are some other things that you should probably know before you actually decide to quit your job. There's good things, but there are so many challenging things and some things that are just kind of undesirable too. So check out the good video if you haven't seen what's good about quitting your full-time job, the secrets that nobody's really telling you that are really great things about quitting your full-time job. But then this video is going to be about the bad things, or the struggles that you're going to face whenever you quit your full-time job that nobody's really telling you about. So stay tuned to the end. There is a bonus or two tidbits in there for you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kristen Bagwell. I have been a creative entrepreneur and freelance writer and business owner for about 4.5 years now. And I took the leap from corporate America. I was actually working in state government at the time in HR. And I took the leap from that job into becoming a freelancer without a plan. Honestly, I had no plan. I had very little money in the bank. I kind of did it the wrong way, to be honest, compared to by what everybody says is the right way, quote unquote, to become an entrepreneur, to become a freelancer. And so I'm creating this video series essentially just to share with you what I've learned along the way, because I've learned a lot. And I really think it's important for people to tell you the real things that you're going to discover as you jump into this journey, if you're trying to make that decision whether or not to quit your full-time job, or whether you should quit your corporate job to become a business owner or start your own business, or whatever it is that you're thinking about doing. I don't think it matters what your business is. I think what matters, what the things I'm talking about are not business specific. They're actually they're more personal. They're of a more personal nature. So you hear people talking about clients flaking, and you have to keep, there's constant churn of clients and trying to find new customers all the time and that kind of thing, and the selling is hard and yada yada yada, and that's all business specific. It depends on what you do. What I'm talking about are the more personal aspects of it, the things that you're going to find along the way that are going to challenge you as a human being, and as a business owner, of course, too, but mostly just personally. So okay, let's dive into it. So today I'm talking to you about the 3 things that I found, the 3 struggles that I faced when I became a business owner, a creative freelancer, and an entrepreneur, when I had no idea these things were going to happen. I had no clue that I was going to face these struggles. Nobody had told me about this, and I want you to be better prepared and better informed than I was. So the first thing I found was, all of a sudden, you're on your own. You have no help unless you hire them. You are the boss and the employee. You're doing the work and you're managing the business. You're making the money and paying the bills and setting the pricing and selling the services and pushing the marketing and creating the marketing, and you're wearing all the hats. You hear people say that a lot about entrepreneurship. You wear all the hats. But they don't really tell you about how alone you can feel, honestly, how lonely it can be whenever you become a creative entrepreneur or a freelancer. So that's the first part. It's, you all of a sudden you have no structure. You have no rules in place. You have no policies to guide you. You have no bosses telling you what to do. You have no one even telling you what kind of services to offer in the world. So unless you have a pretty good idea of what you're doing beforehand, you probably aren't ready to jump into entrepreneurship. Like when I left my corporate job, I left it for a freelancing opportunity that was specific, but when that freelancing opportunity didn't pan out the way I was expecting, I was kind of left adrift. Like, what the heck am I doing with my life now? Should I go back and get another full-time job? And make it, go the easy route, or should I try to make it as a creative and an entrepreneur and a freelance writer was what I finally landed on, freelance writer and copy editor. But yeah, so it was kind of a struggle because I just didn't realize how alone I was going to be and how little help and support you actually have as a business owner. You are literally doing all the things. And when I say that, I mean all the things. There's just no one telling you what to do. There's nobody telling you when to do it. There's nobody telling you how to do it. Which leads me to my next point. The second thing the second struggle that you might find when you become a business owner or freelancer is that nobody taught us how to do this. Nobody taught us how to be a freelancer or an entrepreneur. No one taught us how to run a business, most likely, unless you have an example in your real life. Nobody teaches you how to do the work you need to do. Nobody teaches you how to write policies. Nobody teaches you how to set pricing. I mean, from financing your business all the way through and writing a business plan all the way through like implementation and actually getting the work to clients and then hiring people, and nobody tells you how to do any of that stuff. So all of the learning is on you, and all of the learning is through your own research, through your own networking with people that that are business owners, and through your own trial and error. And if you're not good with trial and error, if you're not good with change and being adaptable or being flexible and learning on the spot, doing a lot of research and, all of that, then entrepreneurship may not be for you, because that is just the reality of it. I mean, you can hire people to help you with all of these things eventually, but you have to get to the point to where you know what you're hiring for, what you need, and you also need to be able to oversee whatever you're hiring for. So you can't just pawn your stuff off on an expert and expect them to do the job for you. As an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility for your own business, to yourself, to stay involved and to know what's going on in your business. And so you can't just hire someone to do all the undesirable stuff. That's kind of a myth about entrepreneurship, is that you get to be the boss and everybody else gets to do the crap that you don't want to do. But the reality of it is you're going to be doing all of that crap, all of it, until you can afford to hire somebody, until you know what you're hiring for, and until you actually have the capability and the capacity to take on employees or even freelancers. But that's all eventual. When you first leave your job, your full-time job, to dive into entrepreneurship or freelancing, you don't have that support. 9 times out of 10, you may have a small team, but even so, you're going to be involved in every step of the process. And so if you're not ready for that, it may not be for you. That's one of the struggles that's one of the biggest struggles is, first you have no help, which kind of rolls into the second part, which is all of it's on you and you have to learn everything on the fly. It's kind of you just have to be very adaptable, which leads me to my third point, which is there's so much less stability whenever you're an entrepreneur or a freelancer. You don't have, like I said, you don't have the structure. You oftentimes don't have a set income. You don't have set expenses. Things come at you when you're least expecting them. Your clients can just up and leave. You could have worked really, really hard to land a great client, and the next thing you know, they've decided that they don't need your services anymore. And you're like, wait a second, I worked really, really hard to get you on board. So, it's just one of those things. You probably don't have benefits. You often you start out without financing even. So, this might sound a little scattered, but the thing is, there is no structure unless you build it. As an entrepreneur or a freelancer, you have no systems in place. You have no tools in place unless you're already doing the work, this kind of work, before you take this leap. You have to figure out the best ways to market and advertise, and you have to figure out how to start a YouTube channel, or whatever it is that you're going to use for word of mouth. You have to figure out how to do the work. You have to figure out the structures, the processes. If you want policies, if you want to hire somebody, you have to figure out how to write the job description. And like I said, you can hire this out eventually, but the thing is, you just have less stability. You have less structure. And one of the biggest things that I found that was problematic was the lack of stable income. It's super challenging. In my last video, I mentioned that you have unlimited earning potential, which is absolutely true. But the flip side of that is you have no minimum that you can earn either. All of a sudden, you have no base salary, so you are on your own to figure out how to earn what you need to earn. And I'll be honest, my first year as a freelancer, I think I earned like $9,000, which sounds amazing if you've got a full-time gig to support you. But if you don't, if you've already quit your full-time job and you only earn $9,000, you're probably screwed because not very many people could manage to live off of $9,000. So in a year, so you just have to really be prepared to face these struggles. And I would say, make sure that you have some money in the bank. When I quit, I have $5,000 in the bank, which is not a lot. And it's probably not enough for most people. I'm pretty adaptable, I don't need a lot, so I was okay with that for a while. But the thing is, if you hit hard times and you have no plan B, and you have no money in the bank, or you have no support from family and friends, or you have, no spouse to help you out or catch you when you fall, it's going to be really, really challenging. So just be prepared to earn as much as you want, but also know that you can also earn nothing if you don't do the work, So it's kind of like there's two sides of that coin, and you just have to be prepared for both. So I think I've kind of surmised this already, but the bonus tidbits here are just change. There's so much change, and there's so much fluctuation as an entrepreneur or freelancer. You have to be really ready, and you have to be really adaptable, and you have to be ready to learn on the fly and change on the fly, and you have to be ready to, at a moment's notice, like go get a new client or offer a new service or learn a new tool, learn a new client's business entirely from start to finish, just so that you can do a good job on their work. So that's the thing. If you don't like change, being a freelancer or being an entrepreneur is probably not the lifestyle for you. That's just the truth. And I already said this, but being prepared and having a plan B, having some money in the bank is extremely helpful, because another bonus tidbit, when you add a financial burden to your passion project, no matter how passionate you are about something, when you add that need to make money from doing it, like you've quit your full-time job and you wanted to become a writer, say, for an example, and you start writing for other people, but it's what is the word? Like your whole lifestyle depends on it. If you need that money from that writing gig, it's gonna suck the joy right out of it. It's gonna become a job. So as quickly as you can, or before you quit your job, make sure you have a plan B. Make sure you have some money in the bank, because you don't want to be struggling paycheck to paycheck in an entrepreneurial position or in a freelancing journey, because there is no paycheck unless you go get it, So the thing is, you just have to be ready for that kind of stuff. You just have to be adaptable. You just have to be able to be flexible and, be prepared for the struggles that are going to come your way, because these things will come your way. Clients will quit you. People will, not understand what you're doing. You won't have support at times. You will be wearing all the hats. All of those things will happen. So, I think that's what I've got for you this week. Next week, I'm actually going to be talking about the truly challenging things. So all of these things are challenging. These are the struggles that you're going to find when you become an entrepreneur or quit your full-time job to start your own business. But there are more. And the things that I'm going to talk about next week in the ugly portion of the series are truly confronting. Like, they're truly challenging things that you will run into whenever you decide to quit your full-time job and start as a freelancer or small business owner or entrepreneur. So that's on the docket for next week, and I will talk to you then. And until then, all my love, take care, and I'll see you in the comments.